Like you could just tell it was like sketchy.
So
Sketchy.
sketchy.
So
It
sketch.
got me looking into like dog racing and greyhounds. And
Yeah.
even that, like I wasn't even like aware of how bad that was.
No,
And then
it's
there's
all
like corgi racing. Have you seen corgi racing?
my there
Are
was
they not
th-
cared for well either? Well, here we are.
here we are.
Happy Wednesday. Let's boop snoots.
Let's boop snoots. Episode, is it episode 30? Is it
It's
episode 30?
episode 30.
Holy moly. Look at
Holy
us
moly. I know.
podcasting away and not even knowing it.
We're having so much fun.
I'm Heidi.
And I'm Vero.
And we're kicking off this week with a bit of a, well, there's multiple areas of this topic, but what we're going to talk about today is dog fighting. So I think Vero looked up some stuff on like the actual like dog fighting, like the illegal stuff that goes on in the States and stuff like that. Whereas I was going to more talk about how to handle dog fights with your own dog at the park, stuff to look out for, that kind of stuff. But before we get started, I know I always do this. I always like start off with a little story that has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. But I think I mentioned on the last episode that almost like every single one of my colleagues have gotten a puppy or are getting a puppy very shortly.
Like very soon. Like very, very soon.
So one of my colleagues who I don't know whether she ever had a dog before, but well, she's not, I don't think she's very experienced. But anyways, her and her husband decided they saw an ad for a rescue. Somebody had a dog. It was like a sheepadoodle, like possible border collie. She had 12 puppies. They sent out an application, and there was over 200 applicants. So she got an email back saying, oh no, we've chosen the successful candidates. And then lo and behold, a week later, people changed their minds and stuff. And literally the night before, these people were like, are you still interested? And can you come pick up the puppy tomorrow? And she was like,
Yes.
whoa. She was like, yes, but we don't have anything. So can you give us a couple of days? They were like, sure, no problem. So last Friday, she went to pick up her cute little puppy, and his name is Maverick, and he's adorbs.
Maverick.
So lo and behold, she calls me the other night in a panic. And what happened was, it was in the evening where he has most of his energy, and she decided to take him out in the backyard for a quick little romp around. So he's running around in the snow. We had a huge snowfall like during the week and stuff, so tons of snow around. And when he was walking on the deck, she didn't even see what happened, but he must have slipped or something, and he yelped super loud and then started to cry like nonstop. So she like panicked and thought like he broke his leg, and she was like, what do I do? And I was like, okay, hold on. I said, like, is he panting? She said no. I said, what is he doing right now? She said, he's sleeping on top of my husband. And I was like, okay. I said, did you do a pat down like you would like at a vet visit, like palpating everything? And she said yes. I said, did he cry or whimper, anything, like jerk around? She said no. I said, so puppies are very much like babies, and they're like their bones are made out of Play-Doh when they're young. Like they haven't even formed yet or connected even yet, like into certain joints and stuff. So they can take a pretty hard bounce, and I would doubt that his leg is broken from like a slip on the deck. He probably just pulled something, or maybe something scared him, or you don't know. Like puppies are new to all of their surroundings. So I said, just let him rest for the night, and I bet you anything he'll be bouncing around like nothing ever happened tomorrow. And then I also told her, but he might be afraid of that part of your deck or the stairs or wherever it was that he fell. So when he approaches that area, and if he's scared of it, just say no and make him like go there and stuff like that afterwards too, so that you normalize like, the deck, since he lives there. And like you don't want him to, start being afraid of things. So I just thought I would mention that story as a little example of puppies and socializing. Puppies. And the little things for all the inexperienced people out there. They cry and whimper at weird stuff because they're learning their environment, right? It's just like kids like being afraid of fireworks or the basement or something like
The
that for
boogeyman.
the boogeyman. So I just thought I'd share that story.
Well, thank you. Look
Well,
at you giving
you're welcome.
advice.
I know. I said I'm like the Helga Milan at work. Haidushka Milan, puppy
Haidushka.
whisperer. Yeah, I was telling my son that today. I said I was like the Haidushka Milan, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" I said like Caesar Milan. And I said he does that, and I kept like poking at him, and he was like, "Stop that!" And I'm like, "Exactly."
It works.
Anyways, all right.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. So
So let's
dog fighting
kick
time.
it off. Yeah, dog fighting. So I'm going to give you guys a little history lesson.
Let's hear it.
Fun stuff. Dog fighting, as a quotation mark sport, can be traced back to 43 AD. So 43 after Jesus.
What?
Yeah.
That far back?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
When the Romans invaded Britain. Both sides brought fighting dogs to war. So the Romans won the war, but Britain had the most ferocious dogs in the battle.
No way.
So they won like, yeah, dog.
Did you see pictures?
No, I did not see pictures.
See, because when I was talking the other day about how like I may want a cane corso for my next dog, they're called Roman war dogs, and so
Ooh.
that's what won my husband over. He was like, "Yes, we are getting a Roman war dog." So I'm trying to think of what would win against a cane corso.
You know what? I think I might have seen like painting like
Yes,
yeah,
of like the cane corso, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like the pointy ears.
Yes.
Yes. So Britain had the more battle ready dogs. And that created kind of like a canine market.
Oh.
So the Romans imported British fighting dogs for war and also for like public entertainment. Have you ever been to Rome?
I have not.
You have not. So there's the Colosseum in Rome, which I visited and learned about like how animals like fought in the Colosseum. So these dogs would face other animals like wild elephants.
What?
In the Colosseum. Yeah.
Like they would just pit different species against each other to see who would win?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Crazy.
That is crazy.
And when I went to see the Colosseum, you could see how they were kept like underground and brought up to like surface.
Yes. In
fight.
cages. Yeah. And then they would open the cage. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if it was kind of like
that. Oh
Ooh.
my god. So I wonder if you Google like dog versus like lion and like dog versus like horse.
Wild
like,
elephant.
Yes. And wild elephant. If it has, I wonder if they kept
anything.
track of like the battles.
I don't know.
I'm going to have to go to Rome and ask them.
Well, we should go right now. I gotta be back for Saturday.
Yep.
So those dogs were exported to other countries such as France and Spain, and then eventually back to Britain. And in the 12th century, baiting was practiced, and it was popular in England. So they released dogs into like this ring with chained bulls and bears. So it was like bear baiting. So they would like release the dogs and watch this dog attack this bear or this bull. And I read that this was also used for tenderizing the meat.
Ugh.
Because it would like the biting would like tenderize the meat. Anyways, gross. And then in the 19th century, the increased cost and like scarcity of bulls and bears and the increased concern at that point of animal cruelty made this quotation mark sport less appealing. So that's when in 1935, all baiting activities were made illegal. And from that emerged like the cheaper alternative and legal dog on dog combat. So in 1935, And I believe it's in 1962 or 1992 that became illegal in Canada. So
What
in the
dog
US,
fighting? Sorry, dog fighting became illegal in Canada when?
1962, I think.
Oh wow.
In 1835, it like emerged, the dog on dog combat. And
Mm-hmm.
in 1862, I believe, or 1892, it became illegal in Canada.
Okay.
However, in the US, fighting dogs were imported before the Civil War and crossbred to create the ultimate fierce canine fighter. Which breed, Heidi?
Pitbull.
Yeah.
Yep.
The American Pitbull Terrier, which, so they took a bulldog and they bred it to a more like athletic type terrier. And that's where the name came from because before it was like the Coliseum, but now they were fighting in like a pit. So it became
Pitbull.
the American
Oh my
Pitbull
god.
Terrier. And the pit bull became like the number one dog of choice for like the average family dog.
Really?
Also, yeah, there's I was watching this documentary also, which I will talk about, and is also depressing. I feel like I'm the like depressing part of this podcast in the last couple
You're
of
like,
episodes.
did you ever see the movie Inside Out? You're like the sad girl that like nobody wants
Oh
around.
yeah,
Be like, and by
the
the way,
purple girl.
some more depressing news, guys. Next
um,
time I'll research the depressing stuff.
there's this Buster Brown shoe commercial,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like shoes, and there's like the sticker inside the shoe, and it's like a cartoon of like a girl and a pit bull,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like a little girl and a pit bull in the commercial.
Oh.
Yeah, so pit bulls were used for, well, they were family dogs and popular. And then, but also popular for public amusement and betting around the world. So the US, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. So dog on dog combat became popular in those areas. So in many states, it was outlawed, but it still continues with an estimate of like 40,000 people involved still, which is sad
Mm-hmm.
because they get these dogs, and I'll talk about like how they like train these dogs to become fighting dogs.
Mm,
Yeah.
I don't want to
In
know.
the southern states, about 60% of dogs in animal shelters are pit bulls. So these are dogs that were like fighting dogs, and they just like couldn't do it anymore. So like people just
They
like
get
give up on
abandoned them.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
let them
abandon
go.
them in like houses outside, like tied to fences, and just kind of left to die.
Oh God.
Or it's like pit bulls that like there was like a takedown, and police officers and like the
Yeah,
Humane
raided the
Society
place.
rescued them,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're in shelters. But all of them, because they're bred to fight and they're like fight crazy, they're
Mm-hmm.
bred to like attack and kill other dogs. Most of them, if not like almost all of them, get euthanized. Yeah, it's
Oh.
so sad. This documentary said in LA only there's 200 pit bulls a day that are euthanized.
No.
Mm-hmm. It's sad.
Who goes to watch this? Who wants to go and watch animals kill each other? It's one thing like
So
there's so many people that can't even watch the Planet Earth series because they can't watch like a lion take down like a
I
gazelle.
know.
And that's like natural, but to like breed and like literally cage fight like
Yeah.
animals against each other is like it's that's not nature.
So this documentary said that like blue collar people, lawyers, doctors come to these fight and like watch these fight
And
and
well, and they bet on
bet
it because it's
and
gambling.
gamble.
That's why, because it's the gambling aspect of it.
Yeah.
I guess you tie like another weird sort of culture like around it and people get involved that way. But like that's just so strange.
I
But I
know.
guess it is
I
one of
don't.
those like culture things like people like it's almost like a bucket list like yeah I want to see like you know a dog fight like a pit fight or you know some people go to Mexico and they want to see like cockfighting like roosters against each other
Yeah.
and even that like is unethical and like I wouldn't but like dogs is just like I don't know maybe I'm being like a a speciesist. Maybe I'm discriminating
Yeah.
against, like, but even, I don't know, just putting two animals in a place where you know that they're going to fight to the death, um it ain't right. I don't know, it feels
Yeah.
gross to me.
It is gross. And this documentary, like you see dogs fight in it, and it's just like, ugh.
Oh, did you watch it? Like, does it show
Yeah.
them like literally tear each other apart?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
When
There's one.
do they stop it? Well, like when like it's literally not breathing anymore? Like, how do you call the dog off of the dead dog? Like,
So dog fights can last from like 5 minutes to like 5 hours.
no.
Yeah. So there's a few ways that the fight ends.
Mm-hmm.
So either they're both exhausted
Mm-hmm.
and they can't fight anymore.
And who do they declare the winner? The one with the least amount of
I think it's
damage?
like a judge's.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's so it's kind of like a boxing ring where like they take the two boxers in their own corner and
Yeah.
like towel them off and all that. So they take both dogs to their own corner, towel them off.
How do they get them? Do they have like lassos or something? Not a lasso, but like what they use for like a loop, like
Yeah, I
almost
think
like a
that's what
slip
they
lead.
did, but like you see these dog fights and there's like humans in there. And like I saw one of the fights, the dogs are fighting and the humans are like lying on the ground,
What?
like encouraging them.
Oh, well,
It's
it's
like they'll
probably part
never
of their
bite.
training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll never bite like a human.
Yeah.
Like they're super friendly with humans.
Yeah.
But then yeah, so if it looks like they're kind of like one's exhausted and the other one's still kind of like biting but not really, so they'll separate the dogs, bring them to the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and then release them. And then both dogs have to like engage. So both dogs have to bite.
Mm-hmm.
And if one isn't, I think they have like 30 seconds or something like that
Yeah.
to bite. And then if he doesn't, then the other dog wins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. Or they fight until one's like dead. And it's gross
Oh,
because there's like,
blood
it's like
everywhere.
a ring or a box or whatever. And you can see like on the sides, there's like blood and
How
it's just so
how
gross.
how big is the ring? Is it like in comparison to, let's say, like a boxing ring? Is it much smaller?
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
Yeah.
would you say like a quarter or half the size of like a human boxing ring?
I would say half the size.
Oh my God. So, sorry, I'm just doing a quick search here because, like, when I looked up this before, like, when you type in dog fighting on Google, it talks mostly about like the illegal stuff, but it is still legal in Japan and parts of Russia,
Yeah.
which I guess I'm not too surprised about. I thought that it would be, yeah, and it says it says legal or not, dog fights are held openly in parts of Latin America, Pakistan, Eastern Europe, and in the US.
Yeah.
I thought Mexico would have been like a big place for it too, but probably is. Who knows?
Mexico. Yeah. There's
And it is a
I thought
felony. It is a felony, folks. It
it is a
is.
felony to
And
be a participator or a spectator.
yes, yes. So
Yes.
don't even think about it.
Don't
Let's
even
boop
think about
snoot, listeners.
There's the Humane Society of the US. So it's an organization that takes on the biggest fights for animal across the country. So things like ending cosmetic animal testing, banning trophy hunting, stopping puppy mills, ending dog meat, which is like something else that we should talk
Mm.
about on another episode.
I'll research the dog meat industry. I'll give you a break, Vero.
Thank you. And also ending animal fighting. So they're very involved in that.
Yeah.
During the documentary, you see them breaking in, no, doing like a takedown.
Yeah.
And there's all like these pit bulls. There's about maybe like 8 of them tied outside. Some of them are like indoors in cages.
When they
And then
do a takedown, does it legit look like a SWAT team? They must be like fully garbed
yeah.
because you don't want to get bit by like.
And then there's like a few individuals in handcuffs on the ground on the front yard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, but then they take these dogs to shelters, right?
Yeah.
And you can see these dogs have like scars on their faces.
Oh my God.
Like their legs, their torso.
Oh.
Oh, and they're like, some of them are like infected.
Oh, I don't
It's like,
like.
oh, it's so sad.
I don't like it.
So the documentary that I watched, that I don't recommend that you watch, but if you want to, it's called Off the Chain. They have this guy who's like he does dog fighting with his dogs. So he's wearing like sunglasses. You can't see his face in the documentary.
Hmm.
So he gets this new dog. I think he calls it like his black dog or little black dog. And he does what he calls a 8-week keep. So it's 2 weeks. He calls that the pre-keep, and then 6 weeks of conditioning. So the first 2 weeks, he's talking about like how the puppy, until he gets to match age with, which I believe is about 2 years old,
Hmm.
costs about like $1,500 to $3,000 for those 2 years. And you can see this guy preparing this dog's food. He has like kibble, and then he pumps something in it. I don't know if it's just water. I
I
You would
wonder if
think
it.
that he would just take it from the tap if it was just water,
I
but
wonder if it's like steroids or something to make them super muscular.
maybe.
Oh
Well, I'll
God, I
talk
don't
about
even want
that
to
in
know.
like
Yeah.
um and then he puts this supplement called RF1 supplement that's given to like athletic dogs and like hardworking dogs that are prepping for like events. So I
Hmm.
don't know, like racing maybe
Yeah.
or
What is it?
whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like a supplement. I tried to see what was on the bag and research it, but I couldn't see from the images like what was on the bag. I think it's like immune system stuff. And then he does what he calls a rolling. So he lets the dog um, hit another dog for 5 minutes to see where their heart is at. So I think it's like two dogs that are kind of like maybe at the same stage. I don't know if one is tied up. He didn't go into details, but I think they just like let the dog loose and see what it does with the other dog. So apparently they do rolling for about 3 times to see how the dog reacts. And then they get the dog off the chain, what they call like OTC. So, and then off the chain. So I guess they are chained up while they do that. And then they get off the chain and then they do a match with another dog that's just off the chain to see if they have those like fighting instincts and the game and like the will to stay in the box. So they show these two dogs in a box and one goes like after the other dog and the other dog is just like trying to get out, like let me out of the box and like stop
Oh,
biting me and like get me out. So they take the dog like out of the box and it's just like this dog like does not like
it's
want to
not going to be.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. um
So do they take that one and like ditch it somewhere on a
Probably,
fence?
like if it never
Probably.
wants to fight, probably. And then they do, so that's what they call like the game test also, to see if the dog is ready for competition.
Yeah.
And then they go into the conditioning phase. So they that takes about like 2 weeks, and then the conditioning phase where they do jaw exercises, swimming. They put the dogs on the treadmill, and that's when he says some people give their dogs steroids, and he says you need to be really careful with steroids because after the dog fight, dogs on steroids have a harder time recovering from their injuries. And as he's talking about this, he's preparing this syringe with Telazol, which is a veterinary anesthetic agent, and he gives it to his little black dog to knock him out or knock her out. I think it's a female, knock her out.
Hmm.
And then this is awful. He puts this device in her mouth to keep her like mouth open,
Hmm.
and he takes a Dremel and sharpens her teeth.
No.
Yes.
No.
I'm
No.
just like, what? Oh,
Okay.
anyways.
Okay, wait. Can I just chime in for a quick sec here?
Yes.
So while you were chatting, I googled RF1 to see what it was in, and it has taken me to a what's called a game dog forum where
Mm.
there's a disclaimer as soon as you open it up, and it says you are currently viewing our forum as a guest. which gives you limited access to view most discussions and access our other features. By joining our free community, you will have access to post topics, communicate privately with other members, respond to polls, upload content, and access many other special features. And so you scroll down and it's all Pitbull. So you know this is like a dog fighting forum.
Yeah.
Clearly it is. And because
Oh,
I Googled RF1, like somebody's like, hey, does anybody have the recommended feed dosage for RF1? And it is. It's like a nutrient rich. It's like all the muscle dudes heading into Popeyes for their like protein
yeah.
for their whey for their
Get out of my
protein
way.
powder. And anyways, and like it took me to a forum where someone said, hey, do you have the recommended dosage? And one person's like, yeah, it's 1 scoop for maintenance and 2 scoops for keep.
There you go. Keep. So the 2-week
Oh,
pre-keep.
oh, gross. This grosses me out. Ooh, off the dog fighting forum I go. Off of the dog fighting forum.
Back to the off the chain documentary. And then they weigh the dog. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's like UFC. It's
Yeah.
like you have to get weighed.
Weight categories, like 15
Yeah.
to, yeah. Oh, God. Oh, God.
And then the dogs fight, and then the owners themselves like provide veterinary care. So you see this guy like tending to his dog's wounds after he's like starting IVs. He started an IV and then he like suctioned it, I guess, to see if he was like in the vein.
Oh,
I'm just
God.
like, oh, and he's giving antibiotics and Ringer's lactate to
Oh.
his dog. And yeah, it's just awful.
How long is this documentary?
50 minutes. I didn't watch it all because I
So
was just like, I just can't
this is what I
watch
don't
this.
understand, and maybe it's because I don't have a lot of knowledge around the law. But here they are filming this documentary about dog fighting, which is a felony. So how are these people not arrested? Do they talk about Michael Vick at all during the documentary?
No,
Do
I
you
don't think
remember?
so. I
Do you
don't
remember? Do you
know.
remember him? No. So
The
he
name
was.
rings a bell.
So he's a professional boxer, and he was running a dog fighting ring, I think, and got
Oh,
arrested for it or something like that. I forget what happened with it. I don't know if he was actually arrested. Again, I don't. I very very vaguely remember it, but he was like dragged through the media for that because it's animal cruelty. At the end of the
yeah.
day, it's animal cruelty, folks. Nobody.
I think it's hard to get in because they're so closely knit.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to get in, and yeah.
Ugh.
Ugh, so
Gross.
disturbing and gross.
Yeah.
And like, what are people thinking? And this guy was just so like,
Because
so
there's
he was
money. Because I.
comparing it to boxing.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's the same thing. Those boxers are there because that's what they want to do. And those dogs are in that box because they want to fight. And
No,
it's like,
that no,
no,
they don't
you're
want
not
to fight.
giving them a choice.
You conditioned
Yeah.
them to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, it's not the same. But you see, the reason why what people are thinking is money. So if you get
Hmm.
into it, it's all about profit. So if you learn how to manage your dogs and get the beefiest beefcake to fight or whatever, and you're winning the fights, and you're running the gambling scene too, it's like running a casino. Anything
Yeah.
that involves like underground money like that is sketch no matter how you look
Yep.
at it. It is
Yep.
sketchy. It's
They did
all
another takedown and
freaking,
they
yeah,
found like $500,000,
drugs, no doubt.
drugs,
Oh, for sure.
guns.
Oh yeah, it
It's
all goes
like,
together. It all like all those crazy like weird underground stuff. Like I remember, so my husband and I used to work at this camp close by to our city, and there was this guy who owned a casino, and he would come and drop off his 4 kids for the summer, and literally hand us a briefcase full of cash, and say, and you wouldn't be able to get a hold of him after that. And his kids were
wow.
like totally misbehaved, and they were nightmare children, and the camp ended up refusing to take them anymore because and when the dad would come the odd visiting day with like clearly like a prostitute with him, and
Oh,
like
wow.
it was just like it was a sketchy family. Those kids, like the stuff that they did, and they like it, you could just tell it was like sketchy, 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 sketchy,
So
sketchy,
sketchy.
so sketch, so
It
sketch.
got me looking into like dog racing and greyhounds. And
Yeah.
even that, like, I wasn't even like aware of how bad that was.
No,
And then
it's
there's
all
like corgi racing. Have you seen corgi racing?
my there
Are
was
they not
th-
cared for well either?
so my sister has a dachshund, a wiener dog, and she now has a corgi, right? And right before COVID hit, the summer before COVID hit, there was an event here in Ottawa, and it was corgi and wiener racing. And she was like, "What are the chances?" Like, it was both of them, and it was just like a fun family day event where you could come and enter your dogs, and like you would race them like in this field or whatever. But um, sounds like there might be a sketchier side to that.
Maybe.
Maybe they get the kids in on it while they're young and like lure them into the underground corgi racing world.
Where the queen like rules the corgi
Yeah.
racing championship. She is the grandmaster.
That's what's kept the royals in business this whole time. Oh my god, that is so
Uh,
funny. That is so funny. Oh my god. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh,
that's what I have for dog fighting. Sorry for
okay.
ruining yet another of your Wednesdays.
All right. So my part that I'll just touch upon quickly here is just talking about like now not in the illegal context, but in the general owning a dog like context. So I feel like people get dogs like a dog is almost like it well it is like children to some people. People are excited about their dogs. Some people like baby their dogs, they pamper their dogs. Some people get like, these incredible breeds that are beautiful and gorgeous, and people are proud of their dogs generally. And everybody thinks that their dog is the cutest and the bestest and the everything, and they want everyone to know it. So out you go into public and with your dog, and you know I'm not gonna lie, I take Gibbon to the dog park, and like just even yesterday I took him to the dog park, Bruce Pitt, and we were going for a walk, and every person he goes up to, they're like, oh my god, you're so gorgeous. You're
And he's like, I
so
know.
cute. And he's like, he knows it. He goes up to them so gently. I'm so proud of him because there was like other puppies there that were like jumping and biting at my coat. Like, and I don't mind because they're young pups, right? But Gibbon is just so like he goes up to them and he's like, tell me how beautiful I am. Hey there, hey you, tell me how
Hey,
beautiful I am. And they do. Anyways, and it's very satisfying because you know that your dog's the cutest. I know that my dog's the cutest.
Heidi, I think my dog's the cutest.
Well, you don't have a dog yet, so we can we can have a cute contest. We can have a little strut through Bruce Pitt. But so people take them out and people enjoy, and they think like and watching dogs play is a really joyous thing. It really really is. It truly and honestly is. But here are the things that you need to know when you're socializing your dog with other dogs. Um, you really need to know their body language. You need to understand body language. And I told this story before and I'll tell it again. A close friend of ours had a Great Dane. And when I got Gibbs, and once he had his vaccinations and stuff, she was like, bring him over and they can have a little play date together. So I would bring them over to their place. And it was like a mini me, like a Weimaraner kind of looks like a mini me Great Dane
It
in a
does.
lot of ways. Yeah, and they would romp around and have like the most fun. But you see the bouncing back and forth, and sometimes they make noises that sound like fighting, but what you're looking for is like the bounciness of it. The tails are wagging, they're engaging with one another, the jump back and forth, paws out, and the bowing down, that's like let's
Yeah.
play. Those are
Yes.
all like dog body language of, yeah, let's play and we're having a good time together. But what as they wrestle and stuff and they're flopping their heads back around and they're biting at each other's necks and their legs and stuff like that, they make like aggressive sounds. Like they're like and
Yeah.
like and then like they jump back and forth and chase each other around, and sometimes it sounds aggressive, but it's the body language that you're looking at and all those things that I
Yeah.
just mentioned. So here I am at my friend's house, the dogs are romping around in the living room. We would sit there and sip coffee as if it was like a television show. Like I could literally watch that for hours. It's like so satisfying to watch dogs having like a good time together. So my friend's son was upstairs sleeping and he came down and he was like, he panicked. Like he was like, no, no, what's going on? What's going on? No, don't let
Oh,
them, like, and he was panicked because he thought that they were fighting. And we were like, no, 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 it's okay. They're playing. This is how dogs play. But for people who don't see it and don't understand their own dog, even know how to read their own dog's body language, it can look very aggressive.
yeah.
So, you need to watch out for those things. The other thing that you need to be very cognizant of, and I probably should have mentioned this first even, is how to properly introduce dogs to one another. So again, people go out to do the strut down the street with their brand new dog. My dog's so cute. Everybody's going to see my dog walking down the street. We're going to stop and everybody's going to want to pet him and this is going to be awesome. And that's fine. Like I let people, like I would stop and let people pet Gibbon. And but not everybody feels the same way about that, because and it depends on what you're doing. If you're in the middle of a training session and you're wanting him to walk on leash with you, you don't want to stop and have people touching him and petting
Yeah.
him and stuff, because you're asking him to concentrate. So now you're not being fair to the dog. The other thing is like you just need to get to know your own dog's personality. It's just like people. There's some people who are very touchy feely. I am one of those people. And there's people who wish not to be touched. They do not want you to touch them. They don't want you to hug. They don't even want to shake your hand. They don't want you even standing close to them. There's some people who need their personal space because they're just not the touchy feely. And it's the same with animals on the whole, but
Hmm.
dogs
But
especially.
even humans, not you're not gonna like everybody, right?
Well,
As a human.
and that's the thing too. So people think like, oh, well, it's dogs and they're all going to go and play together. But like, if you put, like, if you go to a dog park where, let's say, is like a fenced in area of, let's say, the size of like a soccer field, you will start to see the dynamics right away. There's like the police dog that breaks up all the fun. There's like the ball stealer that's going to come and steal your ball, like no matter what. And then there's like the one that's obsessive about their ball. And if you steal their ball, they're gonna get pissed, and then lo and behold, you got yourself a dog fight. And then there's just some who like again, like the poem I read the other week there about dogs sniffing each other's bums. So yeah, they walk up to each other, they have a sniff at each other. And again, you really have to watch the body language shortly after that. That's like a greeting, and that's your moment where it's like, okay, where are we going next from here? Because if they start the bowing and or the tail starts wagging, and then they start the chasing around and the romping and the rah, 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 then like you're good to go. But if you see the hackles come up, the tail go down, and of course, like it's the one that I would hope everybody would recognize, is we call it the Elvis Presley, the lifting of the lip and the baring of the teeth.
Yes.
You need to get your dog out of there quick, because you're gonna have an altercation. So I'm gonna go back to the first meeting each other, and like people versus like dogs and stuff like that too. Like, so my dogs were always friendly with people for the most, but you never know. Again, so even as like if you were walking down the street without your dog and you see somebody coming and you're like, oh my god, Pompey, and you want to pet it, right? Like I want to pet everybody's dog. Becoming like and training with my friend Michelle has made me a lot more cognizant of my behavior around dogs too. I don't go and touch or pet anybody's dog without their permission
Yeah.
first. And if I can see that they are actively working or training on something, I am not even going to acknowledge the dog or say anything at all. And that's hard for people because we're impulsive beings, and you see a puppy and you think it's cute and that it's for petting, but it's not.
Yeah. And
It's
people
not
think that
necessarily.
owners want people to tell them how cute their puppy
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I do, like when I'm walking through Bruce Pit and I see like a beautiful dog, I'll just say, what a cutie, like as they walk by, and they're like,
Hmm.
thank you, and stuff like that. But you don't stop or get down or get in their face and grab it and stuff like that, because number one, you don't know the dog. Number two, like you have no idea what that dog's personality is. It could be a rescue, and if I get down in its face, it's going to bite me. Like that's one thing. Like I took my dogs out yesterday. It was a beautiful winter day. It was like warmish outside. We thought we weren't even going to get a parking spot at Bruce Pitt, the dog
Oh
park.
yeah.
But we showed up and it was fairly busy. Mostly people were on the tobogganing hills. But one thing that I could not believe is that people were bringing their kids on sleds, like dragging their kids on a sled through the dog park.
Oh
Like I saw
wow.
like 3 or 4 families, and I'm like, do you want your kids to get like bit by a dog? Like that's not the place to take your kid for a sled ride
No.
around a dog. I would never. One
No.
thing in a baby stroller where they're covered up and the dog can't see or whatever, and then you can go,
Yeah.
like that's like a bit more. But I'm talking on the ground at dog level, dragging them like on a toboggan or a sleigh of some kind through the dog park.
Gee.
I was like, ooh, you guys are brave. And that's the other thing is like people letting their kids run around and touch whatever dog like walks by. Again, you're
Mm-hmm.
asking for trouble, man. Don't like, and you're going to get a variety of different opinions on this. But if you're not, if there's people just like with kids, like I know I always say not to humanize your dog, but sometimes there are comparisons. Like, are you going to let your kid just wander around wherever doing whatever they want? I mean, I don't, but some people do. Some people don't watch
Yeah.
their kids or they're not paying attention and their kids are doing whatever. And it's the same with dogs. Some people watch their dog and have them recall trained really well and they keep their dog close by and they're very cognizant of where their dog is and what their dog is doing. And it's just like me and Becky. So I know Becky, there's a 50-50 chance whether she does not tolerate as she used to. She used to be super submissive and she would sniff and play with whoever came along. She's older now and her patience is gone. So there's lots of different options available to you. Number one, don't go to the dog park.
Yeah.
Number two, use an assistive device of some kind. So for me, it's the e-collar. Belly. Becky is impeccably trained on the e-collar. And Becky is no further than 10 feet away from me when we walk through Bruce Pit. And when a dog approaches her to sniff her butt, I say, Becky, here. And she comes right back to my side and I keep her close to me. So if a dog
Yeah.
continues to piss her off, I shoo the dog away. So I'm advocating for my dog and I'm keeping
Yeah.
her safe so that she doesn't snap at anybody. And I have 100% control. Now, if a dog comes out of nowhere and bites her, which is a possibility, they're animals and they're instinctive animals. I mean, that's like out of my control, but like, is the risk there? Yes. How big is it? I would say not very big.
Yeah.
And as long as she's at my side, at least I have more and more control over it.
I mean, that could happen on the street
It could
if
happen
she was on a
walking,
leash. Yeah.
exactly, walking around the block. And who knows? And that's another thing is like I've sort of jumped around to so many different topics now. I wish I did this a little bit more systematically. But when you're walking your dog on a leash through your neighborhood and you see somebody coming with another dog, they'll say, "Oh, is your dog friendly? Like, can we say hi?" I used to be this way, and I'd be like, "Yeah, no problem," and like you let them say hi on the leash. You ask Jeff Gelman if you should be saying hi on leash. It's no. You ask any experienced dog trainer, should you be meeting
Yeah.
and introducing dogs on leash? The answer is no every time. And it's because it's like us humans meeting in straight jackets where it's like you're restricted. So you're pulling them back. So it's almost like
Mm-hmm.
you're cornering the dog in a sense. And if they don't like each other, now they start fighting and now the leashes are entangled and now you have owners reaching in to try to break it up and people are going to get bit, dogs are going to get bit, humans are going to get bit. You never know. So the ideal way to introduce two dogs to one another is find a space with just the two of them, whether it's in your house in the living room, and you bring the dog in. You sort of control the other one as much as you can, or in the backyard where there's space for them to run around, and then you watch
Yeah.
them and see how they do. And dog parks, dog fights happen there all the time. I've seen them. And with
Yeah.
Scraps was attacked by one guy once. I think I told you about that when he was
Yeah.
older. Same thing. Especially as dogs get older, you really need to advocate for because they're no longer that friendly little dog that just wants to play with like the new pup. They want nothing to do with those guys. So when they're like the puppies are coming over and sniffing at their butts and sniffing at their faces and stuff, they're like your older dog is probably going to snap at them. And then depending on who makes the first aggressive move, it either escalates or like one dog submits and like runs away. But if you get an escalator, there you have yourself a dog fight.
Yeah.
So don't introduce on leash, find like a common ground, observe body language big time. um, Again, no, if you're training, make it about the training. And if people come up to you and say, oh my god, he's so cute, can I pet your dog, you could just say, oh, I'm so sorry, we're training right now, so maybe another time. It's okay to say no to people. You don't want to be
It
that
is.
person, or you don't want them to think that you're crazy or whatever, but just say, sorry, this is actually taking a lot of work, and we're just in the middle of training right now. Or get a vest, like just
Yeah.
like when Michelle and I traveled to New Orleans together, and Nikita came with us on the plane and stuff, there
Like
was
an
a
in
vest
training.
that said no touchy. There's one that said like don't touch, the owner may bite. She had all these different patches all over the vest that clearly stated don't touch my dog, like it's requiring an incredible amount of focus for her to do
Yep.
this. And people don't get that.
And I think
So
there's stuff that there's like a thing that you can slip on the leash so
mhm.
that if you don't want to get a vest that says like
Yes,
in training,
yes,
you can like
yeah,
flash that and be like, neat.
yeah, sorry, like
Don't
we're
even ask.
yeah, exactly. And and it's hard, especially with kids and stuff, and you just be nice about it. Oh no, sorry, I would really love to, but we're actually training right now, and it's requiring a lot of his focus right now, so it will like ruin like all of the work that we're doing, or you know what I mean. Just, you don't have to be an asshole about it and be like, no, get away from me. But
Patouche.
a lot of people just think that dogs just happen, and you get a dog and everything's perfect, and you feed them and they're cute, and they don't pee or poop in your house, and they don't bite anybody, and they don't but it doesn't. It's a lot of work, and that's what I think a lot of people still don't understand. And a lot of people don't understand how to read the body language, and a lot of people don't understand people, even with people, are not understanding of each other. Like if
Yeah.
you come into work in the morning and you say good morning, and someone goes "Ugh," and like walks by, you think, oh, you're a jerk, and you like walk away. But very few people think, oh my god, they must have had like a really rough night, or there must be something going on, or they must be upset about something. And it's the same with dogs. Like you don't know whether that's a rescue, and it's hard enough for them to be walking around the block, let alone with you in their face, and touching them and petting them
Yeah.
and grabbing at them, So be cognizant of yourself around other dogs too. And then the last thing that I will say, and Vero and I were talking about it, is how to break up a dog fight.
Hmm.
So people, your instinct is to reach in there. Do not reach in there. You want to try to you want and you could stand there and wait until you have an opportunity to grab the collar and pull back. um, you can try that, but again, a lot of times people get bit trying to break up a dog fight, because you
Yes.
think like, if you're grabbing, they are in 100% instinctive mode, and if you're grabbing them, they're going to think it's harm, and they're going to turn around, and your own dog will bite you out of
Yeah.
sheer instinct.
Or they're
So
going to think, like
it's
if
the
you're
other dog.
pulling on the collar, they're going to
Hmm.
think it's the other dog and they're going to latch on even more strongly to
Yes,
the other dog and cause
yes,
even more damage.
yes.
If you're
So
trying to pull them apart,
mhm,
it might be pulling on the other dog's skin.
yeah. So Vero had read somewhere that you can grab the hind legs and pull them like around in a circle, so that they're not still facing that dog. Try to pull them around in like a semicircle, so that now they're facing a different direction, because you need them not looking at that dog or focused on that dog anymore.
Yeah, they need to snap out of that,
Like snap
like
them out
tunnel
of it.
vision.
Snap out of it, doggy.
Snap.
And again, if you have an e-collar, obviously you pull it up full blast and give them a zap. To again, you're trying to, hey, wake up, out of there. No, you know. Another thing, Vero, you mentioned, is reaching and the scruff like right on top of the tail, and lifting them
Yeah,
up.
lifting them up. And if that doesn't work, then you kind of twist, and that works like pretty much all of the time. If the
Except,
hind leg
yeah,
doesn't work, but then as soon as you grab the dog from behind, you really need to be careful because that dog might
It's
think
gonna
that it's another dog
exactly, and it's
and
gonna
might turn around and bite you.
whip around and give you. So I would make it a quick motion, like, because again, you're trying to slap them out of it. So a quick,
Yes.
like, grab the legs and yank them, or do that quick grab, twist, pull up motion, and
And
let
there's
go.
videos. There's like YouTube videos on this.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and it works better with two individuals. So as soon as you like lift the legs and pull the dog off, it might take a few seconds before they release.
Yeah.
You want somebody to take the other dog away,
Yes.
and you want to like you said, turn that dog in a circle so that it's facing
A
the other
different direction.
direction.
Yeah. One last thing that I will say, just as something that you can do to prevent this. I never heard about this before until my mother-in-law did some training with her dog. But there's a command that people will teach their dog, and it's basically like a danger command. So you can do it as a puppy, when they're a puppy. So you say something like, you choose your word for whatever it is, whether it's danger, fire, like choose any word. So let's say it's like fire. So you yell fire loud, like super loud, like you go fire. And when they come to you, you give them like loads of treats, like you spill a bunch of kibble on the floor, so they're like, oh my god, you know what I mean? So there,
Yeah.
it's like a jackpot of like food or whatever reward it is that you're giving them,
Okay.
so that like you condition them that, and you use that only in like dire circumstances. So if they are running into the road in front of a car, you say
Ooh.
fire, and so that it trains them to run back to you immediately, because they think they're going to get like a boatload of treats.
Ooh. That's cool. Yeah.
That's another thing. And again, like I said, that's what the e-collar is good for. I'm a fan of the e-collar, but again, not everybody is. But it's pretty good for dangerous situations. And I've never had to crank my e-collar up yet on Becky. Like I said, having her trained on it, and it still allows me to take her to the park, because
Yeah.
I can when I say Becky here, she's literally at the side of my leg, like right next to me. She comes like right away. She stands right next to me, and now I keep her, so like I know no dog's going to bother her, or now at least she's close to me, so I can protect her from other dogs. I can say no, no, no to the other dog and like shoo them away or stand in between them. And usually the other owner takes the hint by that point, and they're like, hey, Spot, come here, buddy. Like, let's go. And then like you continue on
Yeah.
like walking past each other. You know what I mean? So yeah, those are just some helpful tips and tricks
Yeah.
for the doggo fights. And if there's a dog within your family, so this is sorry, I swear I'll stop talking after
No,
this.
it's okay.
So my mother-in-law has a mini doodle, a mini golden
Ooh.
doodle, Gracie, and her son, my brother-in-law, had a husky named Kraken. And and he was the Kraken man. He was a destructive dog, and
Let's
he's a
get
lot better
cracking.
now. But he, when they first met in the backyard, Gracie did not like the Kraken. Like, and he was a
Oh.
pup and he was bouncing around, and Gracie played with Gibbon. It wasn't even like a size difference or anything like that. But for whatever reason, she would get super like, "Ugh," like when he came around to play, and she didn't like it. So, um, my brother-in-law since got another dog, a Bernese Mountain Dog, that's a pup still, and the Kraken has really calmed down and become like a father figure like to the new
Ooh.
pup. And so my mother-in-law was asking me the other week. She was saying, I tried bringing Gracie over to their house. She has no problem with the Bernese Mountain Dog. They are having fun and romping around. She still can't like acclimate to the Kraken. So, and like they were trying to put the two of them together, and then they took the Bernese Mountain Dog away so that it could just be those two and they could like focus on it. And like when they started to romp and Gracie got a little bit like, ugh, like my brother-in-law was saying, like she was wanting to pick up Gracie, like pick her up. Her instinct was to pick her up and protect her and stuff like that. And my brother-in-law was saying, no, let them like work it out, let them work it out
Yeah.
or whatever. And it could just be that he was a bit bigger for her or whatever. So I talked her through it and said it could have been the size difference initially, and now she has just that relationship with the Kraken. I said, but yeah, watch them play, but you're watching for the body language. And if
Yeah.
if you play for 5 minutes and it's good, be like, good Gracie, and then end it on that note. So like she knows like she had a good time and it was good. And now you
Yeah.
can come back and try for a bit longer, reward. And if Kraken is literally bouncing around with the tail wagging coming at her and she gets like tail between the legs and you can say, correct it. Say, Gracie, no.
Yeah.
And I said, and so try those things moving forward. But if you're not getting anywhere, guess what? The dogs don't like each other.
Yeah. That's just it.
They're non-compatible. Just like me and some people, and just like you and some people, and just like not everybody gets along.
Yeah.
Period. So they can't be together. End of the story. Don't force it.
Correct.
Try it. The Kraken.
I like it.
Yes. And that's that.
And that's that for today.
Thank you for listening to Let's Boop Snoots.
We're gonna let's boop snoots next week.
Bye.
Bye. Boop. Boop.